I'm Bridget Bartlett with the Builderall team. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the Cheetah website editor. To do that, let's go ahead and click Enter in the Cheetah Builder, and let's create a brand new website. Let's click a simple template, and let's go ahead and choose a blank template. To access the editor, let's go ahead and enter our page. Once inside the Cheetah editor, you see in the top left-hand corner, you can click here to go back to the home of our website. You can click here to view the desktop version of this page, the tablet version, and the mobile version. You can click here to get a drop-down menu of all of the pages within our website. You see right now we just have the home page. You can click here to add a new page to your website. You can click here to access the settings of the background page of your website. You can click here to edit the global fonts within your website. So if you want the H1 title of all of the web pages within this website to be Arial Black, you can change that here. And then you can also change the size on desktop, the size on mobile. You can also change the line height here and the color. Any of the changes that you make here will be updated throughout every page of your website. So that's important to remember. If you want to add a ruler and grid lines to your website, you can do that here, and you can actually add a line by left-clicking. You can hover over to drag left and right, and then to delete, you can click here on the little X to delete. You can also do the same on the side. If you want to get rid of the ruler, you just click there again. If you want to access any hidden elements, you can do that here. If you want to access any tutorials of the Cheetah Builder, you could click here. You can click here to preview the live version of the website, and then you can also click here to save. Let's do that now. Our website has been saved. Do we want to publish this site? We'll go ahead and say that's fine. And you see that our site has been saved and published. Here is the URL of our website. You can click here to go to the live version now. You can also click here to buy a domain through Builderall. Let's go ahead and click close. The Cheetah editor is divided between panels and elements. So elements live on the panels. If you left click on the panel, you see that you can save this panel, you can edit this panel, you can duplicate, you can hide, and you can actually delete this panel as well. If you want to edit the element, you can simply left click, and then you can save, edit, center on the page. Since this is a box, you can actually pin it to a corner of your website. You can duplicate, you can hide, and you can trash. Inside this box, you see a text element. You can save, edit, center on the page, duplicate, hide, and delete. And you'll see that theme throughout most of the panels and elements. On the right-hand side, you'll see that we have three menus. We have the Add menu, the Settings menu, and the Personal menu. The Add menu is divided between panels and elements. If you click on Panels, you see that we can add a blank panel. We can add a first fold panel, which is simply the first panel on your website. Let's just go ahead and add this one now. But you see you have lots of panels to choose from just in this category. You can also scroll down and choose a contacts section here. So we can add this to our website by left clicking on that panel as well. You could go up here and scroll down. If you are a restaurant, you could add a menu panel by left clicking. And now you see as we scroll down, we have our contacts with our map, and we have our menu for our restaurant here. Let's scroll back up and return. And you'll see that we have lots of options in different categories that you can add of panel templates depending on the purpose of your website. Let's go ahead and left click in this panel, and you'll see the options to edit the panels. You can save this panel here, like I said, and it will end up in your personal elements. You can click here to edit your panel. If you see on the right-hand side, you can actually change the height of the panel here. You can change the minimum height, which really affects the mobile view mostly. You can add a border to your panel. You can change the size of the border. You can also change the color and the shape here. You can add an arrow by enabling this, and you can change the size. See, this is the arrow here. You can hide the panel. So if you want this panel hidden until someone has been on your website for 10 seconds, you could do that here and then check this box to make it hidden. You can change the border radius. So if you wanted this panel to have rounded edges, you could change those numbers here. You could change the background settings. So if you wanted the background of this panel to be a different color, you could choose that here. You could also choose a gradient color. So if you wanted one side to be a color and then the other side to be another color, you could choose that here. You can also add an image to the background of your panel. So if we click here, we can choose this image here, and you'll see that we've changed the image background of the panel. You can also change the size of the panel by dragging that line up there. You can also change the positioning of the image here, and you can actually choose to keep the image scrolling or keep it fixed by adding this effect here. You can edit the internal background settings of your website. So if you wanted the internal section of the panel to be a different color, you could choose that here. So we could change that to black. And if we had a branded color that we wanted to paste the hex code here, we could do that. And once we've chosen that color, we can click here to save it to our branded colors. If we want to delete one of these, we could simply click the X to delete it from our list. That is a really nice feature to help us stay organized and help us stay congruent with our brand. You can also add an image to this internal section of your background. You could add a video by uploading that here. You could add a parallax effect by clicking this box here, choosing the effect that you want, and then the speed here. You could create a panel divider by checking this box here, choosing the style of divider you want, and then you can choose the different colors here. You can uncheck that box to remove that panel. So if you want to tag everyone who's reached this page inside your mailing list or your CRM, you could add that here. You could actually rearrange the order that the panels appear on your page by dragging this anywhere I want it to be. We'll just drag it to the bottom. Once you have arranged the panels how you want them, you can click Move. And now you'll see that our panels have been reorganized. You can also click here to rearrange the elements on this panel on the mobile view. So if I wanted this text to be above this only on the mobile view, I could change that by dragging these there and then clicking Move, just like we did the panels. If you wanted to have more than one column on the mobile view, you could enable this here, select how many columns you want, and then you can rearrange that on the mobile view. If you wanted to create an anchor for this panel, you could click here to activate that, and then you could give it a name. So if you wanted to send someone in a menu to this specific panel, you could do that here. And then you could click Advanced to save the. So let's call this sample panel, and then we're going to save the element. And then you'll see you can retrieve the same element here in the personal section under panels. And you'll see our sample panel is here. If we wanted to use this sample panel, all we need to do is click on the plus sign, and then our panel is added to our website. Now let's delete these panels, and let's talk about elements. Let's go ahead and expand this one panel here, and let's actually just delete this box. And let's go to our menu, and under the Add menu, because we want to add an element, we're going to click Element. This is the list of all of the elements that get added to panels. Okay, so I want to show you the most popular elements that you're going to use. And the first element we're going to add is going to be a text. So we can add a H1 title, H2 title, all the way down to a paragraph. Let's go ahead and add an H1 title. Now to edit the font or size of a global element, which is what we just grabbed here, we would need to go to our global element settings to change this. But let's say we had a text that we needed, but we didn't want it to be a global element. All you need to do is let's go ahead and duplicate. And then we can actually double click in the text box and highlight. And then you see you can actually change this to be a neutral H1 heading. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now we can change the font to anything that we'd like. Let's go ahead and choose Open Sans. Let's change the size. And let's actually make it bold, italicized, and underlined. You could put a strike through it. You could change the color here. You could highlight with a different color. Let's just choose purple. You can actually even put a shadow or a blur on the text here. And then if you wanted to click to the left of the text, you could actually even add an icon. So now nothing that we have done to this text here is going to affect the global text here. If we just wanted to change the text of this H1 title, we could do that here. But you see now our text is too large, so let's click outside the box. We can just left click and drag this box over here. We can stretch this out like this. If we want to center this on the page, we could do that here. Now let's go back to Add, Elements. Let's return to the main menu. If we have created a blog, we could use any of these elements here to just drag to our page. Same thing for the booking app. If we had a calendar that we wanted to add to our page, we could choose that here. Let's go ahead and choose a box. And let's just drag this box to our page. Now boxes are a great way to add elements to keep them all together. So we could do that here. Let's go ahead and just duplicate this. So now we have two text elements on top of a box. If you left click on the box, you see that you can save the element. You can edit the element here. If you click here, you can actually change the size of the box, the width, and the height. You can change the background settings. You can change the border of your box. You can make it larger. You can change the style. You can actually change the color as well. You can change the radius of the box. You can change the shadow by moving these things here. You can change the color. Let's make it a deeper color. We'll make it full opacity. You can give this a parallax effect as well. You can add an animation. So if you want it to flash when someone has viewed it, you could choose that there. You could add a tag to this box. You could adjust the layering here, and you could actually save this box as well. Let's go ahead and move it in the middle. Let's go back to our elements, and let's go to buttons. You have lots of buttons to choose from. Let's go ahead and choose this one. Now within a button, if you left click, you'll see that you can save this element. You can edit. You can center on the page by clicking here. You can click this to set the link. You could click here to give it multiple actions. You can duplicate this button. You can hide it or you can trash it. Let's go ahead and click here to set the link. Now you have many options where you can set the action to this button. So you can paste a website URL here. You can choose whether you want it to open in the same or a new tab. You can also choose to open in a parent tab, and you have some advanced settings here if you want to redirect. You can choose to set it to go to another page in the website. You can choose to set it to a Builderall auto tag in your Builderall profile. You can have it display a pop-up that you've created. You could have it go to another panel on your page. You could paste a video URL and the video would pop up when you click the button. You could have it download a file. You could also have it go to an item that you've created in the super checkout. You could have the button go to email you by pasting your email here. You could choose the subject, and you could also choose if you want to CC or CCO someone. You could also add body to the email. You could have them call you. You could also put a mask on your phone number. And you could even choose the action, whether you want them to call you, send an SMS, or a WhatsApp message. If we had a membership website connected here, you could have them log into a membership website. You could create tags when they click the button to tag them in your list. You could also connect this to a rotation banner, and you could send them a browser notification when they click the button. Let's go ahead and click select. You could also edit the button by clicking here to edit element. And then you can change the size of the button, the width and the height. You can change the maximum width on a tablet. You could change all of the colors here. You could set the hover effect of the button, so when you hover over it, you can select what you want it to look like. You can also give your button a border. You could round off the border here. You could change the headline that's on the button. You could change the font and the size on desktop and mobile. You could change the color of the font. You could make it bold, italicized, justified to the left, center, right, or justified in the middle. You can add a text decoration, so you can add an overline, a line through, or underline it, and you could also add an icon here. If you wanted to add a subtext to your button, you could say click here. You could change the font of your subtext and the size on desktop, the size on mobile, and the color. You can make it bold, italicized, or left, center, right, or justify. You can add a text decoration here. You could also add a shadow to your button. So if you wanted to move this here, give it some more blur, you could even change the color. You could do that here. Or you could click here to erase all of the shadow. If you wanted to add an animation to your button, you could do that here. You could also add a tag, and then you could adjust the layering here. Let's go back to Add, Elements. Let's return to our main menu. You'll see that you can add a contact and an email marketing form. A contact form is basically if you want to be emailed with the information that they fill out on the form. And an email marketing form is when you want their email to go to a list to trigger an email sequence to send to them. So you could add those forms here, and you have many to choose from, and they're all customizable. If you want to add code to your website, you could select here for the iframe. Just drag it to your page. If you left click in the box, you can click here to edit element, go to general settings, and then you can paste the code here. You could also add an image to your website by clicking here. You have 4 choices. You have this 3-dimensional image that moves when you hover over it. You can add a horizontal, a vertical, or a shadow image. Let's go ahead and add this image here. Let's expand the size of our panel to make room. So we'll drag our image here. You'll see if you click here on the image, you can save, edit, center. You can also set the action to this image the same way that you do the buttons. You can duplicate the image, you can hide it or delete it. If you click here to edit the image, and go to general settings, you can upload the image here. You can also add an alternate text and a title for your SEO. You can change the size here, the opacity of your image. You can give your image a border. You can add a shadow. You can round off the edges of your image. You can also give the image an animation. You can add a tag. You can adjust the layering of your image, and you can also save this image for your personal elements. If you want to add a line to your website, you have the choice between a vertical and a horizontal line. Let's go ahead and just drag that here. And if you want to make this larger, you could do that here. And then, of course, if you left click and go to Edit Element, you have the options here to change the size, the border. You can have an arrow on the left or right. You can add a shadow, animation, add tags, or adjust the layering, and then save the element. You can add a menu to your website. You can choose the menu that you want and then just drag it to your website. If you left click in the menu, you can edit the appearance of the menu here, and you can also configure the menu. So right now, these are the titles of the menu. If you want to change that, you can click here to edit and then change the title. You can also add sub-menus within the menu. So we'll just call this sub 1. And sub 2. And then to edit the action of those menus, you can click here. And then you have all of the same options. Let's go ahead and save. And save again. Let's go back to add. If you want to add a video to your website, you have two choices. You can click here to add a YouTube video, a Vimeo, a Wistia, or a Vidello video. And all you need to do is just drag the video here. If you want to edit the video, you can click here and go to Edit Element. Click here to General Settings. You paste the link to your video here. You can choose when to start the video and finish. You can choose whether to give access to the displays. You can check here to have it on autoplay, and also check here to have it loop the video. You can also change the size and width here. You can add a border. You can round off the border, create an animation for the video. You can add a tag, and then, of course, adjust the layering and save the element to your personal section. So now that I've given you, in this video, I've given you an overview of the Cheetah editor and the options to edit panels and elements. Now, go build it with, again, my name's Bridget Bartlett. Now, go build it with Builderall.